What is going on, everybody? We are 5 days out from UFC 324. I'm going to give you my thoughts on the best possible outcome for each fight on the UFC 324 card. Starting with the main event, we have Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett. And this is contrary to my prediction. My prediction is completely opposite of this. I have, as my prediction, Justin Gaethje finishing Paddy Pimblett. Though I will say, listen, Justin Gaethje's 37 now. He's older. Paddy Pimblett is a star. He's younger. He's very, very marketable. He's got beef with a lot of the guys at the top in Arman Tsarukyan and Ilia Topuria. So, taking all that into account, he's on a really long win streak right now. He's undefeated in the UFC. I think realistically, for moving forward in the UFC, I think it's better for Paddy to win. And of course, the best way you can win is by finishing someone. And I think so. Realistically, the best outcome that we could get moving forward in the UFC would be for Paddy to either submit or knock out Justin Gaethje pretty early in the fight. Maybe have a bit of a fun fight just before it, and then end up finishing Justin. I think that would be the best outcome coming from this. And that, like I said, that's completely contrary to my prediction and how I think this fight's going to go. I really do think Justin Gaethje is going to finish Paddy. I think Justin's levels above Paddy. I think Justin still really is one of the best fighters in the division. But yeah, moving on, Sean O'Malley, I think the best outcome for this fight would be Sean O'Malley to finish Song Yadong. Listen, Sean O'Malley, he's taken a step back. 100%. I made a whole video on this. He's taking a step back, yet he's still a star. He's still one of the bigger names in the sport. He's still very entertaining. I think it'd be very beneficial for the UFC to have him knock out Song Yadong, and they can make that fight between Sean and Peter Yan later in the year. That's a very marketable fight. Song Yadong, not so much of a marketable guy, truthfully. He's good. He's a fun fighter, but he's not going to be the guy that's going to really expand the China market. And I think Sean O'Malley is a really big name for the Americans, like myself. And he's fun. I think they can make that fight with Yan. And obviously the best way, and this goes right along with my prediction, would be Sean O'Malley to knock out Song Yadong, like second or third round. I think he does. I still think he has enough of a drive. He's still 31 years old. He's not old. And I think he can get this one done inside the distance against Song Yadong, and I think that's the best outcome possible. Now, Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Derrick Lewis. This one, once again, goes against my pick. I picked Derrick Lewis to pull off an upset and knock out Waldo. And I do think that's very likely and very possible. I do think, though, with Waldo being much younger, he's on a win streak, I think. Well, maybe 2 fights, but he lost 1 fight that was, it was a close fight with one of the guys at the top. I think it'd be beneficial if he were to win this fight by knockout. Derrick Lewis is a great name to have on your resume, and this is a good opportunity for him to get it in the first Paramount card. I definitely can see him knocking out Derrick Lewis. It's not like I'm thinking it's impossible. It's probably pretty likely. I just think Derrick Lewis can't pull it off. I will say, though, Waldo getting the win is a better outcome moving forward. He's younger and he is pretty marketable. He's fun to watch. He's got a good personality. He's calling what he called what's his name, the Chocolate Bear or something like that, which is wild. Or no, that was someone else, I think. I don't remember. I'm tripping. Anyways, Waldo winning by knockout would be the best outcome of this fight possible, in my opinion. Natalia Silva and Rose Namajunas, I think this is an easy pick. Natalia Silva is very young. She's very good. She's on a win streak herself. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, it's quite a long win streak. At least 5 fights. Yeah, she's undefeated in the UFC on like a 10-fight win streak or something. Natalia Silva dominating or finishing Rose Namajunas, I think easily the best outcome. I think it's very likely as well. I think Rose is much past her prime. She was good. She is good, and she's still a very solid fighter. I do think Natalia Silva at this point right now is gonna be able to beat up Rose Namajunas, who's at the later point in her career. 33 is pretty old for women's MMA. Yeah, Natalia Silva dominating Rose or finishing her. John Silva and Arnold Allen. This was tough to pick because both of these guys are young, right? They're very young still, 31 and 29. Both decent names. John Silva obviously has made a big name for himself as of recent. Arnold Allen has had like quite a bit of time off. I think almost 2 years. He was dealing with injuries. I do think, though, I guess, with John Silva's beef with a lot of the top guys, like Diego Lopez and stuff, I think it would be better at this point for him to win this fight. I think Arnold Allen still can lose this fight and come back and make another run at the top. I do think it's possible. He had a good fight with Max Holloway. He's a well-known name. I did put a war, not a finish. I would think it would be really bad if Arnold Allen got finished, and I honestly don't see him getting finished. I'm pretty sure I picked him to win this fight. I do think he absolutely can and should win this fight. I think he's more well-rounded and better than John Silva. He's a very, very good fighter. I think Arnold Allen wins this fight, but I do think it would be better for John Silva to win like a absolute dogfight, a war like Arnold Allen had with Max Holloway. John Silva to win this over Arnold Allen. I think that would be beneficial. I think you can really kick John Silva back up in the rankings towards some of the top guys, depending on what happens with the Diego Lopez and Alexander Volkanovski fight and so on. You got Movsar there, you got Lerone Murphy there, fights that you can match up with for Silva. But yeah, that would be my pick there. Though I'm stoked for that fight. It's such a slept-on fight in this card. Umar Nurmagomedov versus Davison Figueiredo. I love Figgy. Listen, don't get me wrong. I love Figgy. I really hope he wins this fight. I just don't see it happening. Honestly, I don't. I think he's too small. I think Umar's younger and faster and very well-rounded. I think Umar's going to beat up on Figgy and likely finish him. I do think that would be the best outcome for the UFC as well. Figgy's older. He's not going to make a run at the title, truthfully. This is a great fight. I hope it's a good fight, but I do think Umar finishes him. I think that would be the best outcome as well. Get Umar near the top again. Listen, I'm not by no means a big Umar fan. I'm not even slightly a fan of him. I just think, with his abilities, and he can make a good fight with Merab. Maybe they could do that rematch if Merab doesn't get the next title shot, which I don't think is likely he does. They can have Umar and Merab rematch, and that's a great fight to have near the top. Teba Gutierrez finishing Andre Pulayev, I think would easily be that best outcome here. I think Teba Gutierrez is one of the biggest, maybe the best rising star in the UFC. He's just insanely good. People compare him to Francis Ngannou. He's better. At this point in his career, he's absolutely better. I do think this is a step up. Andre Pulayev isn't a can. He's a decent fighter. He's not by any means good. He's not going to be ranked or anything, but he's a decent fighter. It's absolutely a step up from who Teba Gutierrez has fought before. Andre Pulayev is 1-1 in the UFC with a Dana White's Contender Series win. His only loss in the UFC, though, it was Christian Leroy Duncan, who in himself is a solid fighter. So I think this is a good name for Teba Gutierrez to get a win against and step up in the rank, or in a step up in competition for him. I do think he gets it done pretty quickly. I just think he's so good. He's 23 years old. He's just a specimen of a man. 6'4", 81-inch reach, and fights at 185. If I was fighting a middleweight, I don't want to fight this guy, truthfully. He's just terrifying, just violent and well-rounded, and really getting better every time he steps in there. He looks good. I think that's going to be the best outcome for this fight. Modestas Bukauskas and Nikita Krylov. Interesting fight. It should be fun. I think Modestas Bukauskas dominating or finishing Nikita Krylov would be the best outcome. Bukauskas is on, I think, a 4-fight win streak. Nikita Krylov is on a 2-fight skid right now. I think Bukauskas moving up, getting some more fun fights at light heavyweight would be the best outcome here. I don't see Nikita Krylov really doing much in the UFC. Not that I see Modestas Bukauskas doing a ton, but I just see him likely winning this fight, and I think that'd be the best outcome as well. One of the fights I'm looking forward to most in this whole card is Charles Johnson versus Alex Perez. My man Charles Johnson, one of my favorite fighters, arguably one of the most underrated fighters in the UFC right now, with a win over the flyweight champ. So 100% the best outcome for this fight is Charles Johnson to finish Alex Perez like he's been finishing other people, like he finished Leonard Kavanaugh in his last fight. I would love to see Charles Johnson get a quick round 1 knockout. and turn around quick, get another fight. So hopefully he can get towards the top. And if Joshua Van retains the belt, if in his next fight, maybe could get, you know, a title shot quite soon. With their history of Charles Johnson being the only person to knock out Joshua Van. And I do think that's absolutely possible. I really do think Charles Johnson will show levels here. I think he'll make this look easy. Charles Johnson, like I said, one of the most underrated, possibly the most underrated fighter in the whole UFC. Super stoked for this fight. But yeah, best outcome, Charles Johnson, round 1 knockout. Let's go. Alexander Hernandez and Michael Johnson. You know, this was kind of hard to pick. I just kind of went with the younger guy. He's been kind of out of nowhere streaking. He 4 fights in a row won with 2 decent wins. Diego Ferreira and Chase Hooper, 2 decent wins. I mean, those are solid wins, decent names. I guess at this point it'd be best for him to get the win. Listen, Michael Johnson's like 40 years old. You know, like he's older. He's great. I want to keep him around the UFC. He's still putting on good for performances. I don't necessarily think by any means that he's 100% gonna lose this fight. He's on a 3-fight win streak with a win over Daniel Zellhuber, which was a giant underdog win. I think that is, you know, impressive. I just think Alexander Hernandez it would be better for him to get the win here. You know, a great fight of war, you know, adds more to Michael Johnson's legacy, which isn't amazing, but he's been a fun fighter for a long time and has some great finishes. And I think another war would be great to add to it. And last fight I'm going to talk about, Josh Hockett versus Denzel Freeman. Easily the best outcome we could get here is Josh Hockett finishing Denzel Freeman, getting on the mic, doing his thing, you know, WWE promo type. I'd love to see it. I think he's pretty decent. You know, obviously he's a big personality and all, but I think in combination with that, he's also a decent fighter. He's shown really good cardio, and he's been he got to finish his last fight. I think he's on he's 7-0. You know, the heavyweight division needs a revival. And maybe, I'm not saying he's gonna be the one to do it, but he's a good addition to the heavyweight division. But yeah, those are my picks for the best outcome for each fight. I didn't go through all of them. I think I skipped like 2 or 3 that I just don't particularly care for to talk about. But yeah, if you guys could please subscribe. I've been getting great feedback and love on the channel. I appreciate you guys. If you guys could drop a like and subscribe, I really appreciate it. 5 days away for the UFC being back after a 6-week break, and I'm really so stoked. So yeah, I probably won't have another video until after the card, but we'll see. You guys enjoy the fights. Miami plays tonight. Go Canes. Peace.